Does Ohio State really have the best roster in the sport? I didn't say the best team because a lot more goes into making up a great team than just having a lot of talent. Although, if you don't have a lot of talent, chances are you've put a very low ceiling on how good your team can be. The reason I'm asking this is because there's been a lot of talk long before Urban Meyer and Jim Tressel spoke up, but Urban Meyer and Jim Tressel have both won national championships as head coaches at Ohio State. So when they spoke up recently and said what we're about to play for you, it raised a lot of eyebrows. Roll it, Colin.
But as of now, this is one of the most talented rosters in the last decade, maybe ever. I mean, that's a big statement. They got to play, but you look at the quality of athlete at every position, I've never seen anything like it.
And I don't know if I've ever seen that many great players in that building all at once. Every position, every place you turned. And so Ryan's done a great job. Ohio State has done a great job.
And I've been up there this spring, and they're not wrong. They're not wrong. I've been at Georgia. I've been at Texas. I've been at Bama. Like, I've been at the places you would call having the most premier rosters in the sport. There is no place that surpasses what Ryan Day's got on his hands in Columbus, Ohio. Now, notice what I'm not saying here. Didn't even make a prediction about the season because I know what comes after that. It's a consequence of success. You go and get all the talent, well, naturally, people are going to have really high expectation for you. I do too. It's kind of a double-edged sword in a little bit of a way this year, but they're a top 3 recruiting program in recent history. They loaded up with quality in the portal. They actually didn't go get a ton of kids in the portal, but the ones they got are premier kids. Caleb Downs, for example, plays at Ohio State now. The moment he stepped on campus there, I felt like he may be the best football player on their team, and they are loaded, absolutely loaded. So I know what kind of statement that is, but that's the kind of guy, like Quinshon Judkins, that's the kind of player they added out of the portal. There is a critical mass of returning starters there as well. The guys they got to come back, in fact, when we had Ryan Day on the show, that's the first thing he wanted to talk about. When we were up there in the building all day last month, that was the thing they wanted to talk about. Like, yeah, they'll talk about the portal guys. They'll talk about all that. But they're always quick to say, look at who's returning. That's the nucleus of the team. The nucleus is not from the portal. The nucleus is all these dudes we got returning that, frankly, I don't think this time last year a lot of people would have expected to be on the returning starters list. So is it championship or bust this year? In a way, I think that's insane, but in another way, it makes perfect sense. It's insane, to me at least. It's insane if you say, well, Ryan Day with all this talent, if he doesn't win a championship, they ought to move on and grab someone else. Well, no, they shouldn't. So that part's insane. But Ohio State is built in such a way this year where if they don't win a national championship, I'd consider the season a failure. I don't think I say that very often. And we're in an expanded playoff era now where theoretically it's even harder. The Big Ten's deeper. So theoretically it's harder. Man, they've got everything. They got everything. Now, there's a difference in a really talented roster and a good team because you're only as good as that weakest position unit. So again, we're going to look at offensive line. I look at offensive line with them personnel-wise. I look at offensive line in a recruiting standpoint, and I think that's the area. If you're circling on Ohio State's depth chart of recruiting with a red Sharpie, if you're circling something, they all know it. Ohio State knows it. It's offensive line. If they fall short this year and there's not devastating injury somewhere, my guess is it's been because of offensive line play again. So if you don't get it done and you acquired all that talent, that's the great catch-22. You don't acquire the talent, people say, 9 wins, that's good. You go get the kind of talent they have, you better win it all. You better win it all. So Urban Meyer thinks it's the best roster he's seen. Jim Tressel thinks it's the best roster he's seen. I will not disagree with them. I think what they're going to put on the field this year is deeper than anything either of those guys put on the field. And they have some really good teams there.